Hey there, welcome to Connie's Clever Concepts. And usually I teach on DISC or some kind of business concepts, but this is something that I found in the last couple of years that really made me think. Are you looking for happiness? Are you trying to figure out what you like in this world? Well, here are 5 concepts that just might help you figure out what you need to focus on in life. And do remember, if you are working on the DISC, D-I-S-C, that I share on in many of my blogs, you can go to my blog page and there are assessments that you can take. They do cost a few dollars, but you will receive a sheet when you do order those with D, I, S, and C traits from each one. And then whenever you do your assessment, you will actually get a personalized assessment that's all about you. And I tell more about that in some of my other blogs. So here we go. Looking for happiness? Let's think of 5 concepts. Now you might want to write these down and you might want to watch this twice so that you can really get this, because I really believe it makes a difference. What is the most important thing in your life? What would you cry about if you couldn't have it anymore? And I know if you're a guy, you don't cry, but what would break your heart if you knew that you couldn't have that in your life anymore? So here's 5 concepts. The first one is love and belonging. All right, if you're writing that down. The second one is freedom and choice. The third is safety and security. And I'm going to go back and talk about each one just a little. The fourth one is friends and pleasure. And the fifth one is power and achievement. And yes, these 5 concepts can go along with your DISC personality assessment, because there'll be a lot of parallels in that once you take that. All right, so let's go back to number 1. So you're picking out love and belonging, number 1. 2, freedom and choice. 3, safety and security. 4, friends and pleasure. Or 5, power and achievement. Now, if you're like me, I kind of found 2 that I said, oh, both of these are me. So let's look back. Number 1, love and belonging. This is that person who the most important thing in their life is to belong to a family, to belong to a group, to belong maybe in their career where they're happy. But love and belonging usually is about family and friends. And that's the most important thing, all right? Number 1. Number 2 is freedom and choice. If you are a person who needs freedom, you don't always like to follow the rules, and you like to choose what you're going to do. You don't like to be told what to do. I could share a little bit of an example on that. Sometimes when life happens and you have to go into a place maybe of taking care of others, it might be children, someone else's children, or it might be you're having to take care of your parents, or you're having to take care of something that was someone else's responsibility, and it takes away your freedom and your choice. It can be miserable, but they always say, this day too shall pass, right? So we have to think about that. This too shall pass. But freedom and choice is very important to some. The third one is safety and security. And that's that person who needs that safety and security, like their job is so important. They might be in the DISC personality styles, a person who doesn't do change very well. And so the job is important. If somebody changes things on them, they feel threatened. But safety and security. So you have a roof over your head, you have money to pay your bills. And yes, we all think that's important, right? But to some, that is the most important things in their lives. The fourth thing is friends and pleasure. And when you think of this, you think about, I know for me, I thought, well, that's kind of shallow, friends and pleasure. But truly, they need friends and fun things in their life to give them joy, and they don't have joy unless they have friends and pleasure. Things like some people like to do crafts, some people like to go to the ball field, some people like to be in lots of business groups with lots of people. But friends and pleasure is important. And maybe, you know, you work on a lot of different things in life, but if this gets out of order and you don't have that time to do those things that are fun for you, you start feeling stressed and frustrated. And then the fifth one is power and achievement. These are those people who need position. It might be the PTO president or the guy at work who's working hard to get up the ladder. He stays late at night and he comes in early in the morning because power and achievement are important to him. Sometimes it's people who take power and money. Maybe they got to have a lot of money because that makes them feel powerful. And it's just important to have those achievements. It might be a student in school who needs to make A's in school to feel like they have achieved and done their very best job. I will say the people in power and achievement are quite often your great leaders because they'll do whatever it takes to move forward in their business, to take care of their family, and they'll do whatever it takes. So let's go over them one more time because I really think it's important, and I want you to write them down and stick them on something so you have them, because the more you think about it, at first you think, gosh, well, I'm all of them, or, well, I'm most of them. But if you really stop to think about it, you'll realize what it is you need in your life to keep you happy. And if you're not happy, your family's not happy, right? If you're not happy, the people that work around you are not happy. And so happiness is a very important thing, right? So let's go over them. Love and belonging as your most important thing. You would cry if you didn't have it. Number 2, freedom and choice. Really need freedom and choice. Number 3, safety and security. 4, friends and pleasure. And 5, power and achievement. And I will share my top 2 because then I'll explain a little bit on that. My top 2 were number 2, freedom and choice. And that's why I work my own business, set my own hours, and I like to make my choices of what I say yes to and no to. And something that I did learn a couple of years ago, because sometimes I would say yes to things and then be frustrated, but I did have a choice to say yes or no. So I heard this thing that said, let your yeses be yes and your no's be no. And I found that to help me be more happy in my freedom and choice, to stop and think that, yes, this is what I would want, it would make me happy, or no, I cannot do that. Because what would happen to me was I might say no, and I feel guilty because I said no. That's part of my personality style. Or I might say yes, and then be frustrated when it came up that I had to do it. So let your yeses be yes, and your no's be no. My second area was number 4, friends and pleasure. I love to be with friends. I have renewed energy. I like to learn from people, spend time with people. And so friends and pleasure, doing fun things that I like to do, like painting, or I love to dance. In my business, I love to give prizes to the ladies in my group. And so at first I thought friends and pleasure, that's kind of shallow, like I said before. But then I realized this. I loved in my business giving prizes to others, seeing others feel good about themselves and do things for others, and that gave me pleasure. So I realized that it's not as simple as it looks. So there you go. 5 basic needs in life to bring happiness. If you can figure out which ones that are you, and you can say no to some things and yes to some things, then you'll feel better about yourself and you'll be happier, and everyone around you will be happier. Happiness is important. Thanks for listening to Connie's Clever Concepts, and be sure and like or follow or share my blog with your friends if this was helpful for you. Thank you.